This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Tuesday, June 22. In Squiz Kids today, Australia's new Deputy PM. Chili dipping in Antarctica. Usain Bolt's surprising twin name. And the bandit bear strikes again. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
Australia has a new Deputy Prime Minister after one of our country's political parties, the Nationals, decided yesterday to make a change at the top. In political terms, when there is a vote among colleagues to replace the person who is the leader of their group or party, it's called a leadership spill. And that's what occurred in Canberra yesterday morning as our federal pollies all gathered back in the nation's capital for the last session of federal parliament before the winter break. A man called Barnaby Joyce, who sits in Parliament as a representative of people who live in the New England region of country New South Wales, was re-elected to lead the National Party, bringing to an end the leadership of a man called Michael McCormack. Now, I say re-elected because Barnaby Joyce has been the leader of the Nationals before. By becoming the National Party leader, Mr. Joyce also becomes our Deputy Prime Minister. That's because the National Party and the Liberal Party, which is led by Prime Minister Scott Morrison, have an agreement that says they will work together. So, there's your civics lesson for the day. You're welcome.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Antarctica, not far from the South Pole in fact, where a bunch of Aussie scientists who live and work down there have celebrated the winter solstice by cutting a big hole in the ice and swimming in -2-degree water. Okay, so why are they celebrating the winter solstice? Because it marks the halfway point of winter, meaning we're now officially on the road to summer. And when you live in Antarctica, where in winter there are only 2 hours of daylight every day, every step closer to summer, where there are up to 20 hours of daylight every day in Antarctica, is a day to celebrate. And why would you choose to have a swim to celebrate the winter solstice? Apparently it's a tradition. Frankly though, it sounds bonkers. But then maybe that's what happens when you only get 2 hours of daylight a day. There's a link to photos of the chili dip in today's episode notes.
Sport time.
He's only 18 and has only played 7 games in the NRL, but Warriors rookie and Gold Coast native Reece Walsh has nevertheless been called up to make his State of Origin debut in Game 2 of the interstate clash. Walsh will play at fullback, moving Valentine Holmes to the wing. The second game in the state versus state clash takes place in Brizzy this coming Sunday. Meanwhile, the world's fastest man, Usain Bolt, has announced to the world that he's become a dad for the second time. Celebrating the arrival of twin boys, Usain sent out a photo to his 10 million Instagram followers on the weekend, surprising many with his choice of names. The world can now count among its 7.6 billion people the very excellently named Saint Leo Bolt and his newborn twin brother, Thunder Bolt. Yep, you heard right. Which is all perfectly normal, of course. Their oldest sister, after all, is called Olympia Lightning Bolt. What else?
Animal Kingdom.
For weeks, the people of Thornton in New Hampshire in the United States have been convinced that a car thief has been prowling their town. Lots of cars have been broken into at night, with food taken out of some of them. A CCTV camera, however, has revealed that the culprit is much hairier and, quite possibly scarier, than anyone could have imagined. Turns out, the car burglar is a black bear. which has been roaming the town by night and letting itself into any car where it senses even a whiff of food. The video of the bear burglar is in today's episode notes. You're welcome. Hey team, what are you doing for the upcoming school holidays? You're going to be missing me, that's what. But don't panic, because to keep you entertained, to keep your heads in the game, and to prove to the adults in your life once again that the kids really are smarter, we'll be producing a couple of kids versus adults holiday quizzes. They'll be released on the 2 Mondays of the upcoming school holiday break, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for them. And if you haven't already subscribed to Squiz Kids on your preferred podcasting app, suggest you do that now, and that way you won't miss out.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What is the name of Australia's new Deputy Prime Minister? That's right, it's Barnaby Joyce. Well done to those of you who remembered that. Question number 2. On which frozen continent have Aussie scientists been chili dipping? That's right, it's Antarctica. Question number 3. Name the famous sprinter who just named his son Thunderbolt. That's right, it's Usain Bolt.
Shout-outs.
It's June 22. 388 years ago today, an Italian astronomer called Galileo got in trouble with the Pope, who was one of the most powerful people in the world at the time, for suggesting that the Earth orbits the Sun. It turned out he was right, but back then, if you can believe it, people believed that the Sun orbited the Earth. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Rosalina from Brisbane, Jasper from Port Douglas, Gus from Glen Innes, Lachlan and Audrey from Jindalee, Nate from Perth, Riley from Geelong, George from Canberra, Abby from Ballarat, Caitlin from Coogee and Louis from Abbotsford. And a couple of belated birthday shout-outs today to Georgina from St Ives and Caden from Ashmont. And today's classroom shout-outs go to Mr Stewart's 4-5-6 class at Long Flat Public School, Class 3-4-5D with Miss Donovan at Glendenning Public School, who said au revoir to their prac teacher Miss Johnson last week, Class 3-4J at Lane Cove West Public School, who yesterday welcomed their new teacher Miss Connor, Classes 3-4B and 3-4R at Abbotsford Public School, whose teacher Miss Rose celebrated a birthday last week, and a special shout out to all the kids at Foster Public School who got to celebrate with a pyjama day last Friday, with a special mention to Ms Simmons and Ms P for the coolest matching PJs. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, I want you all to get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.